Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of T-Dog RC. And in this episode, we're carrying on with the VQ Spitfire build, and we've got to get this lovely little Sato 4-stroke engine, brand spanking new, mounted into the fuselage. It's fairly straightforward to get it mounted, but then the other thing I want to do in this episode is a job that I always sort of hate doing, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking, is getting the cowl put on and getting the cowl cut out for the silencer and that sort of thing, and cut out around the engine. So if that's what we're going to be getting stuck into. If you are into fixed wing RC, Balsa, Nitro, and that sort of thing floats your boat, then why not subscribe to the channel? I'd love to have you on board as a subscriber. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, but it helps support the channel. And if you enjoy the videos I'm putting out, then give me a thumbs up as well. That helps me out. And if you've got any comments, then stick those in the comments box, and I always get back to people. Right, without further ado then, let's get this on the bench and let's get stuck in. Okay, so here we are on the bench with the fuselage, and this box here, obviously you can put a motor on this if you want to, or an engine. It's designed for both, and we're going to be putting an engine. It's probably bolt and braces, but I've gone ahead and fuel proof this the other day with just some of this JP. I just always use this stuff, this fuel proofer. Messy stuff, but seems to do the job quite well. And I don't know whether this black paint was already there, fuel proofer. I'm never quite sure, but I've gone over it again anyway. So I did all around here, and then I did inside here a little bit, and then we've got this top hatch here, which is where the fuel tank's going to go. It's actually a little bit tight with some fuel proofer, I think. So done the top of the hatch. You can see there, they can sort of got a little bit of a sheen to it, and then done in there as well where the fuel tank's going to go. So that's all nicely fuel proofed. Let's have a look at the instructions and see what it tells us around mounting the engine. It's actually the first step in the book. So first thing it says is mount the engine upside down, which is fairly standard for the other VQ models I've built. Drill some 6mm holes for the engine mount, which we'll have a look at in a minute. Then we've got a set of bolts with some blind nuts, which are going to go behind here. Now obviously when we drill those 6mm holes out, we're going to have to line them up with the engine first, just make sure we've got the width right for the engine mount. And then we can offer the engine up. Also, one other thing to note, I think, which I've been caught out of in the past, which is which way round to put the engine mount. So I'll show you that in a minute. I don't think it really matters, but one side is slightly different to the other. It could just kind of indicate that, I think, on the instructions. Then we've got to, one of the crucial bits is to, when we're drilling the holes for the actual engine in the mount, is it does give you a measurement here of 122 mils, and that is from the firewall there to the front of the prop. I never remember what they call them, prop drivers. So that gives you that measurement there, and in theory, if you do it like that, it should be perfect then for when you put the cowl on. But what I might do is position it like that, but before I drill it, try and see if we can get the cowl on and see if it looks about right. So obviously you don't want it poking out too much out of the cowl, because then you'll have a big gap between the back of the spinner and the front of the cowl. And of course, if it's not enough, then you're never going to get the prop on. So that would be a bit of a disaster. So, relatively straightforward in terms of actually mounting the engine. The engine mount you get is absolute standard issue VQ stuff. And actually, in this case, they're identical, so it doesn't matter which way these go around. But I've had them in the past where these sort of strengthening triangle pieces, one side bigger than the other. And as I say, I don't think it really makes a difference, but they usually show you on the instructions to put one side face down, etc. So we've got those two, so they're obviously going to go on there like that. Actually, does it tell me? It probably does. The vertical position of these. Yeah, so it shows you just there. It's quite hard to miss, quite easy to miss actually. But it says align the marks on both the engine mount beams with the marks on the fuselage. So if we have a look on the fuselage, there is quite a nice mark there that you can see, I think, quite clearly there. And on the engine mount, there is also, there's actually 2 marks on there. I don't know if you can really see that actually very well. You can't, but there's 2 marks basically there and there. So we just need to check which mark is it talking about, and it's talking about the bottom mark. So if it's up that way, it is actually pretty hard to see, in fairness. But there is a line there. You can see it a little bit on the back maybe. Can you see those 2 marks there? Just about. So it's going to be the bottom one we're going to line up with that mark. So it's going to go something like that, which looks about right, because if we look at the gap we've got between the top of the engine mount and the top of this firewall, you can see here we've got a smaller gap there but a bigger gap at the bottom. And then same for that side, is going to line up. So is it the top mark? No, it's the bottom mark, isn't it? It's a little bit harder to see on this one, but the bottom mark is going to line up like that. So they're going to go on there. So let's just get the engine out. I'll just put that out of the way a second. Look at this. Look at this, brand new. What a beaut. So, what we've got to do is get that like that. So we've got the position right, the width should I say, which is always a little bit tricky. So it wants to be kind of like that, so it's clearing all the stuff at the back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've kind of got it lined up like that, which is the right width there, and then I'm just going to measure the gap. Okay, scrap everything I've just said, because actually there's a better way of doing it, which is what they've recommended in the manual. Typically I didn't see this first page. What I know with VQ models is they build the offset into the firewall, so I was sort of thinking this doesn't sound right what I'm doing. And what you have to do is the centre line, this is something that can catch you out, they have got a centre line marks on here, as you can see there. That's there, but that is slightly offset, so when you look at it, it obviously doesn't look like the centre, but that is for good reason, because they've already built right thrust into the firewall. So with that bit of right thrust, if you take that as your centre line with the engine at an angle, the prop shaft is then pointing perfectly straight. That's the idea behind it. And what it says here is actually to measure this part of the engine, so basically the crankcase, and then mark half of that, so that's measurement A, and then divide that by 2, and then mark the 2 sides, then whatever you get from when you divide that by 2, each side of that centre line, and that's where the edge of your engine mount goes. And what I thought I'd do, since it is a brand new engine, I've obviously got the instruction manual, and I just checked to see if there are any dimensions, and there are. It gives you all the dimensions you need. And that A measurement there on here is equal to 35 millimeters, which you can't see very well, but it is. It doesn't actually show you that it's in millimeters, but it is in millimeters. And I've measured it as well with the ruler just to confirm, and it is indeed 35. What I'm gonna do though is probably make it 36 mils, so that's easier to divide for a start, but also making it exactly 35 means that it's going to be quite a push to get the engine in, and I don't want it to force the engine mount out, so that's going to give me 0.5 mil each side if I make it 36, which should be perfect in theory. So what I need to do is get a pencil, and we're going to measure 18 millimeters. I could also use my fancy ruler, which is specifically for this job lot. It starts at 0 in the middle. So I'm going to measure 18 mils that side, 18 mils that side, mark it off, and that should give me the line for the edge of my mount. Okay, so I've got my 2 lines. So what I've got to do now is line the inside edge of the mount with my vertical lines there. That's right on the edge actually, that one. And then obviously line that top mark up, which I think I'm just going to make a bit bigger because you really can't see it very well. So I'm going to get one side fastened on first, then I'll do the other side, and then I can check then that the engine fits in okay before I actually drill the holes for this side. Okay, so what I've done is I've got this bolt in already, just sort of finger tight, just to allow me to position this engine bearer nice and square. So I've just got my little set square that I've got, lining that up with that centre line, which should be square hopefully, and just making sure that that's nicely lined up, which it is. And then I'm just going to drill a pilot hole in there just to mark that out. It's not going to fit though, so okay, that's got that marked up, and then I can swap that for a 6mm bit, which needs to be 6mm for the back of the blind nut to slot into. Seems a bit brutal drilling a big hole like that in, but that then means I can get this in place, which is always fiddly. Okay, just hold the blind nut in position, and then I want a washer. Okay, that's gone through, and then of course we can really tighten this up and get that blind nut to bite into the plywood. Problem is my hex wrench is a bit rubbish and it spins when it gets so tight. It's almost like a torque wrench. And then I just need to slacken this one off and put a washer on, because I didn't do that first time round because I was just getting it lined up. What it actually says in the instructions is to temporarily glue the engine mount on with a bit of CA, which I've not seen that method before, and I did try it, but it just as soon as I sort of looked at it, it just fell off. So I scrapped that idea and went with the plan of drilling one hole, getting it lined up, and then drilling the other hole. Okay, that's got that pretty tight, but I do need to tighten it up some more with a proper hex wrench, Allen wrench, an L-shaped one. So I'll do that in a minute. But what I'm going to do now is just get the engine on, and then get the other engine mount wherever it's gone. Yeah, that's going to be perfect. Wants to go probably just to the right of the line by about 1/2 mil, just to make sure it's not going to be too tight. So I'm going to get all that mounted up, and then I can show you then how I'm going to mark the engine out. Right, so as you can see, I have got the engine mounts mounted, and I've got the engine in position. Currently I've got this upside down because I've got the model the right way up, so the engine's technically upside down, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to drill all the way through the engine mount, so obviously the holes are going to be in the same place. And I've got this lined up. It's a little bit fiddly, but I've put my ruler there, so the edge of the ruler, or the start of the rule, is right on the firewall, and then I've got my little right angle straight edge, little set square, and just lining that up there to the front of the prop hub, I think is the correct term, and that is exactly 122 mils. Pretty much spot on. So that's what it says in the instructions to do. So then I'm going to take my little engine mount marking tool, which I think I've shown you before on other videos, but this is basically just a little self-centering, and it's a hand sort of tool, specially designed for this job. It's not really meant for anything else. And I'm just going to push that in and give it a real good sort of firm twist, because you want a really good positive mark on these. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark with a pencil that front edge, just in case I need to put it back on again. I don't have to go through the pain of measuring it all. Hopefully, yeah, you see I've got 2 marks that side. I've just about got the marks there, I think, but I think I'll probably just do that again just to be sure. So we've got 4 good marks there, so all I've got to do now, drill this out, then drill it out with 3mm. So I'm going to drill it with some little pilot holes first, then some, a 3mm drill bit, and then that will allow me to get the bolts through. So what I'll do is I'll get all that done, and then I'll show you with the engine actually fastened onto the mount. Okay, let me talk you through this because it looks a bit mental at the minute, but I've got the engine mounted. I replaced the nuts that were included in the kit. I'd got some nylon nuts, so I've just put those on there. Prefer those to just putting normal nuts and then Loctiting them on. So I got the engine mounted in position. That's gone in really nice. Drilled the little hole for the throttle linkage. You can just see the outer tube just there, which lines up perfectly with the throttle lever. The only thing I have realised is I once again bought a standard size servo for the throttle, but it's not, it's a mini servo, so I should have checked all this in the instructions before I ordered the servos. The last VQ models plane I bought, everything was standard size servos, but this one's obviously slightly different, so I need to just order another mini size servo for that. So I'll get that ordered and get that done, get the throttle linkage all set up, but that'll be a different episode anyway to this one, getting all the radio gear installed and configured. So what I'm going to do now to finish off this episode is get the cowl mounted and get it all cut out. And it's my least favourite job of building an RC plane because it's always a bit nerve-wracking. If you make a mistake on the cowl, it's kind of game over. So I use a particular method which I've used before and it's worked really well. So I get some card like this and pre-cut the holes in this card. So I've used a hole saw to cut this hole. Well, I drew around the hole saw and cut it out with a knife, but I will use the actual hole saw to cut into the cowl. Once I've done that, I then fasten this bit of card to the body of the plane. So I've just secured this just behind the sort of firewall with some tape and a pin, so that's not going to move. And now what I was originally going to do, by the way, I was going to try and cut grooves, slots out for the two overhead valve caps, because they're what are hitting the cowl. But I thought if I do that, it doesn't give any cooling either for the engine, because it's quite a tight cowl. So I've actually decided to cut out a complete hole just to give a bit of extra cooling really for the engine, as well as allow space for these overhead valve covers. So yeah, going to cut a hole like that in the cowl, and that should allow it to slip over there then. And then on the other side, which you can't really see, in fact, let me just bear with me a second, let me just spin this around. So I think you can kind of see that there. So on this side, I've done the same thing. I've just got a piece of card, I've fastened it to the side of the fuselage, and then I put a little dot. There's actually two, but it's the bottom one here, which you can just about see where my pencil is. That, if I just move this out of the way, that's perfectly in that line with the needle valve, the centre of the needle valve. So again, I'll just drill a small hole through there, and then I can thread something through to fasten into the end of the needle valve. The idea being then is I put the cowl on, well, take the engine off, then put the cowl on, get the cowl all lined up and screwed into place where I'm happy with the position of the cowl. But I leave these bits of paper where they are. Let's just move that up. And then put the pieces of paper over the cowl. Same with this one here. So at the side as well. And then when I've got the cowl in position and I'm happy with that and that's all fastened on, in theory this gives me the right area to cut out this space in the top for the engine, and then drill that little hole out for the needle valve, and it should in theory be in exactly the right position. I've done it before, it's worked really well, so that's what I'm going to try now. So next thing I've got to do is unbolt the engine now, take it off, and then get the cowl all mounted. So I'll get all that done and then I'll show you that and with these templates on just before I cut the cowl out. Okay, so there we are, all finished, and as you can see everything's lined up nicely. I'm really pleased with the way that's gone in there. Underneath, I think it was the right move to cut out that, you know, slightly bigger hole, because it definitely does give a nice bit of cooling for it, and actually the overhead valve covers come through quite a lot, so it needed that space there. And then exhaust on the side has gone in there, really nice, and you can still get to the nut just up there using a spanner to tighten that up, so that's ideal. And then prop nut is sitting nicely in the middle. So yeah, all in all, really pleased with it. And as I say, that's one of the things I really don't particularly enjoy doing, but that's all done now. You can just see as well I've got a little hole there just for the needle valve extension, just got to shove that through. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this back off and I'm going to take the engine off, because I don't need them to be on there while I'm still working on the rest of the model, the tail and all that sort of stuff, because it's just kind of going to get in the way, and of course it makes it really nose heavy as well at the moment whilst I'm working on it. But that is going to wrap this episode up. Hope you've enjoyed watching along to this. I hope that's maybe given you a couple of tips if this is something that you're thinking of doing. Maybe you're looking at getting a ARF Boltzmann model or any Boltzmann model, and you want to put a engine in and need to cut the cowl out. That might have helped. If you're into fixed wing RC and Boltzmann and Nitro and all those sorts of things, then why not subscribe to the channel? Doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, but of course helps me out massively. And as ever, thank you so much to all the people that have already subscribed. I really appreciate your support, and hope you're enjoying being part of the channel. And if you've got any comments, then stick them down below and I'll get back to you. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, because that helps me out as well. Next episode is going to be getting the tail all installed and set up, and then we're going to be moving on to installing the servos and all that sort of stuff. So until then, I'll see you soon for the next one.